Senator Bernie Sanders' campaign has sharpened its attacks against rivals in recent weeks, but his recent clash with Senator Elizabeth Warren has been front and center. The two disagreed on the last debate stage. Warren said Sanders told her a woman could not win the White House. Sanders denied that claim. The two say they've moved past the conflict. However, as Stephanie Murray reports for Politico, the candidates' supporters are digging in. Stephanie Murray joins me now from Boston. She's the author of Politico's Massachusetts Playbook. Welcome, Stephanie. So these two senators claim they've moved past the issue, but does it appear the feud is genuinely dying down?
The senators may have moved past this issue, but from what I found on the ground in New Hampshire over the weekend, their supporters haven't completely moved on yet. And what we found, my colleagues and I found when we were reporting this story out, is that whether you support Warren or Sanders, your view on the situation is quite different. And of course, this doesn't count for everyone who's a Warren supporter or a Sanders supporter, but in around 24 interviews that we conducted, folks that support Sanders felt like they don't think that he said that a woman couldn't win, whereas Warren supporters believe that he did. So the split there is pretty stark.
So from the voters you've spoken to then, would they like to see the candidates address the issue more?
I don't think that's the case. The sense that I got was that most supporters, most Democrats want to move past this feud and just kind of focus on what's to come. I mean, the New Hampshire primary is in less than 3 weeks. But at the same time, both sides seem to be kind of dug in on what they believe.
And so is there any significant damage control then the campaigns feel they need to keep doing in the wake of this?
Well, there was a little bit of evidence of that last week. There was a story sourced to the Sanders campaign in The Intercept that Sanders previously had been vetting Warren for vice president spot, or to see if she could serve as VP and Treasury Secretary at the same time. And we just got a Boston Globe and Suffolk University poll out of New Hampshire that showed that Warren's support among men has actually dropped from around 13% to 4%. So this gender conversation, maybe if it's not about who said what or he said, she said in that meeting that they had last year, this gender issue is not going away anytime soon.
And Sanders and Warren do appeal to a similar type of progressive voter. So what is the political calculation these two campaigns have to make when addressing this issue? I mean, can they really afford to rile up each other's supporters?
That's the big question. And I think that's kind of the bigger message coming out of this, the December 2018 meeting where Sanders maybe said that a woman couldn't win. Maybe he didn't. He disputes it. The other thing that they talked about at that meeting was kind of making a non-aggression pact and banding together more so like we've seen them do in the debates in previous months, banding together to kind of go after the more moderate candidates instead of going after each other. But Iowa is so close. The New Hampshire primary is so close. I think what we're seeing now is it's proof that this is a race. Only one person can win, and only one person can really carry the progressive mantle for so long. I mean, after the first four nominating contests, New Hampshire, Iowa, South Carolina, Nevada, the field is probably going to winnow a bit, and you're seeing that this really is a contest and the sharp elbows are coming out.
Absolutely. However, if one of those two ends up being the Democratic candidate, those voters who are for the other candidate are certainly going to be, coveted. And you don't want to alienate them entirely, right?
Absolutely. And that's the tough thing. And it's something that Warren and Sanders supporters haven't really had to grapple with until now. They've mostly been directing their ire towards Biden or Buttigieg or Klobuchar or someone like that. But this is another thing that was part of this feud before the he said, she said part started. My colleagues at Politico reported that the Sanders campaign had put out a negative script directing volunteers when they were door knocking to say that Warren didn't widen the base of the Democratic Party, whereas Sanders did, and they retracted that script pretty quickly. But it's even though they're close ideologically, it still is a contest.
And of course, you have to remember in 2016, all of those Sanders supporters who were so angry at him not winning the Democratic nomination that many of them vowed not to vote for Hillary Clinton.
Right. And that's the big question, is if that will happen again. I wonder if more Democrats will be riled up in the general election to vote against President Trump. But I mean, that's the big risk. And I mean, we even saw Hillary Clinton speaking out about that a few days ago, criticizing Sanders. And those wounds are absolutely still open from 2016.
For sure. All right. Well, Stephanie Murray, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Great to be here.